Hailing from the days of Medarot 2, everyone who's played the Medarot 2 core on Game Boy or even watched the anime will know this high-flying saurian type very, very well. It is PTL00 Air-Ptera, with a kit of radar sight, double sword, flight legs, and the leg ability of straight, which passively buffs the success of equipped melee parts on the build just by having the leg part equipped. Now of the select three, which includes him, Attack Tyranno, and Land Brachio, in my personal and humblest opinions, Air-Ptera is honestly going to be the most viable of the three, with his very well-balanced kit as a whole that you can generally never ever go wrong with using, whether it be pure set or as mixed parts. Radar Sight is just your conventional and basic support-based head, and all it does is grant a 30% buff to success across the team, which is your likelihood of landing attacks, as well as your likelihood of landing critical hits, as well as negating any conceal or stealth effects on the enemy's side, as long as this effect is in use. Left and right arm of sword are your conventional melee skill you can generally never go wrong with. There's no major drawback or disadvantage to using it. It's just a simple sword, you run up and swipe them, end of story for basic damage. And for that reason, it is a very well-balanced attack you can never ever go wrong with using anywhere. And then of course with having flight-based legs, Air-Ptera is going to have a very naturally high mobility, as well as relatively solid coverage across most terrains, with only having a very small handful of ones that he's not good on, or at least B rank, or that he's not B rank or lower on. So naturally, of course, with that comes a very solid, a very high natural evade as well, meaning as long as he's not inflicted with no dodge, he really shouldn't have any particular issues dodging or even grazing incoming attacks once he's fully captain at the top of his game. And then of course the leg ability of straight honestly does also work to his advantage, and just further guarantee that any hits that Air-Ptera lands are going to land, and if they are going to land, include the higher chance of them landing critical hits on top of it. For these reasons, as a pure set score, I do honestly have to rate Air-Ptera a pretty solid 7 out of 10 for his very incredible balance as a conventional melee fighter. Radar Sight pretty much fits anywhere, no questions asked, no real requirements to using it, and even though flight legs do make him very, very susceptible to anyone using anti-air, in any other situation he honestly can soar back and forth from the center line to command without any major drawback to anyone shooting him down or nuking him as easily. And of course, with basic sword at his disposal, he really has nothing to worry about in terms of like no dodge or no defend coming back to haunt him unless the enemy inflicts him with it first. As mixed parts, on the other hand, I do have to rate him higher at an 8 out of 10, given that even though as a pure set, naturally you can only use him up to a certain amount, mixed parts means you can absolutely mix up the build and make it a lot easier to use him pretty much anywhere. Basic sword, I've said it before, I will continue to say it, you can never ever ever go wrong with using conventional sword anywhere. And Air-Ptera's only major weakness in this case is the fact that because he is a one-star rank parts, he is going to be a little expensive to raise. But for those new players that are just now joining the game or joined relatively recently and don't have a lot of really high-end parts, Air-Ptera, of course, is someone you can always rely on, never have to be sorry about using, because his incredible balance will be one of your best friends when it comes to conventional melee.